Chapter 3. The Case of Mistaken Identity. Hole in the Wall by Mel Waiters. 2004. Everyone has that one person that they've been through everything with. That one person that you've laughed and cried with. You've argued with them and you've fought for them. It's that person that's in your corner no matter what. Well, that person for me has always been my cousin Brittany. Brittany is gorgeous. She's about 6'1", long, beautiful black hair. For years, she wore it bone straight down her back. Then she cut it in a short bob and shaved the back. She is definitely a big girl in stature, but not fat. Well proportioned. She is what I would refer to as a soft stud. She's not girly by any stretch of the imagination, but definitely more feminine than masculine. If you ever met her, you would love her instantly. There is probably not a sweeter person on this earth. She is so loving, kind-hearted, and trusting of folk. The biggest heart ever. Just make sure you don't cross her, because on the other end, she can come with that rage. But I'll save that for another chapter. Let's just say you don't want to start no fights with Brittany. The only way to describe our relationship is to describe her as my twin. Since childhood, we have been inseparable. We always say we are the same person, just in two different bodies. Every little secret I've ever had, Brittany knows them all. Definitely my ride or die, day one. That's just how close we are. When I was 14, I told her that I'm same-gender loving. I had known I was same-gender loving since I was about 9 years old. But my first time actually verbalizing it in conversation was with Brittany. 1 year later, she randomly called me to tell me that she also is same-gender loving. Growing up together in a small country town, we always sort of built our circle of friends together. Her friends were my friends, and my friends were her friends. If either of us had a problem with you individually, we both had a problem with you collectively. Life is a funny thing. Sometimes you're tossed in situations that you couldn't prepare for. You weren't expecting, and it's so dumb that all you can do is laugh. Brittany was dating this girl named LaShonda. She was a short, stubby, brown-skinned girl. She had kind of an irritating voice. It was deep when she talked, but really high-pitched when she laughed. But for the most part, she was cool. She had a tendency to give everyone she met a nickname, and she randomly started calling me Crumpfest. Why she started calling me that, I have no clue. But that's what she nicknamed me. It seems like my mind is scarred for life because that was 18 years ago, and I can still hear her voice clearly in my head saying, "Hey, Crumpfest." Ugh. Brittany was spending lots of time at LaShonda's house, and of course I was too, because I and Brittany are inseparable, remember? LaShonda had a spare bedroom in her house, and since I was over so much, she asked me if I wanted to be her roommate. After we decided on how we would split the bills and the rent, I moved in. We had so many good times in this little house. It wasn't a large house by far, but we would pack it out and have good times hanging out with our friends. As soon as you walk in the door, you're standing in the living room. To the right is a small kitchen with enough room for a small dining table. Take 5 steps forward and you're in the master bedroom to the left. Take 2 more steps forward and it's the guest bedroom, which was my room. Brittany, LaShonda, and myself had 2 more friends that we would often hang out with. Levan, who was about 21, same age as me. He was a skinny little yellow something with the oddest little voice you've ever heard. He was the bougie one. Then you had Larry, who was slightly older than us, maybe around 24 at the time. Larry was dark chocolate complexion, little thick-witted, about 5'10", and he was the ghetto friend. He was all fun and games, but would also tear some ass up if needed. One of our favorite things to do was to pile up in the living room and put on Destiny's Child World Tour DVD. We would skip to the parts of where they performed Bootylicious and Get in Formation. That intro would come on, and it would be like, Kelly, can you handle this? Larry would spin around on cue. Michelle, can you handle this? Lavelle would spin around on cue. Beyonce, can you handle this? I would spin around on cue. And Brittany would spin around also at some point. I'm not sure who she was. I guess Latavia. We would try to do that whole routine. Hips flinging left to right, dipping and popping them joints in and out. When it got to the hook, I don't think you're ready for this, Shirley. LaVan was just out of routine at this point, twerking. We danced until we were too tired to move anymore. This particular time, it had to be about 11 p.m. We were tired and hungry. In our town, if you don't have any food by 10 p.m., there were only two places you could go. There was a 24-hour spot out in a little area called Dollaway, and there was a little hole in the wall that we called the truck stop. To this day, I still don't know its real name. We all decided to drive out to the truck stop. It was about a 20-minute drive from the house, so we all packed in one car and drove out to the truck stop. We get there around midnight, and it's empty inside. We sit down, and we're approached by this waitress that we had never seen there before. White lady in her mid-30s. She looked a bit disheveled, clothes a little dirty, hair all over her head. She looked like she needed to take some time off work to get herself together. She takes our order, and we order our usuals. Brittany orders a double cheeseburger with all the fixings and fries and a Coke. LaShonda orders chicken strips, fries, barbecue sauce, and a Sprite. I order the Salisbury steak, gravy, onions, mashed potato, corn, and a sweet tea. LaVan orders a chicken sandwich and fries with a Dr. Pepper, and Larry also orders the Salisbury steak with mashed potatoes and a Sprite. The waitress takes our order, and everything is going well. 20 minutes later, the food starts coming out. LaShonda and Brittany get their food first, followed by myself and then LaVan. All the food looks good. We are all starving and ready to dig in, when the waitress brings Larry's food and sits it in front of him. It's a plate of chicken strips. Larry says, "Excuse me, this is not what I ordered." The waitress interrupts him and says, "You said chicken strip dinner." Larry interrupts her. "No, I did not. I ordered the same thing as he did. Salisbury steak and mashed potatoes." The waitress then turned red in the face. She bent over and put her finger in Larry's face and yelled, "This is the third time that you've come out here and done this." We all leaned back and looked up startled by how loud she was. She continues yelling, and Larry interrupts, "Ma'am, I don't even know you. What are you talking about?" The waitress gets louder and closer to Larry and says, "I'm not going to keep taking food back when I gave you what you ordered." Larry swiftly scoots his chair back from the table. He stands up and bumps the table with his leg so hard, all the dishes shake. He then says, you bitch!" All of our eyes got big because we knew what was coming. Larry said, "I will knock all of this shit over." He then takes his arm and rakes his food off the table. The chicken strips go everywhere. He gets all our plates and tosses them around. Salisbury steak flying across the room. Mashed potatoes and corn all over the walls and floors. All the sodas turned over. LaShonda says, "God damn it, I was gonna eat that." Brittany and I looked at each other, and in unison we mumbled the words of the Piano Man from The Color Purple. When they went to juke joint, and Squeak, our Mary Agnes, slapped Sophia. We both said, "Well, time to go." We grabbed our belongings and hightailed it towards the exit. We realized that Levan was nowhere to be found. Turns out his scary ass was already in the car. I grabbed Larry to pull him out along with us. The waitress screamed, "I'm calling the police right now!" Larry says, "Good, so they can help you clean up all this shit, you crazy ass." We finally get outside in the car. LaShonda cranks up and pulls out of the parking lot. It was dead silence in the car. Everyone's heart was beating fast, thinking that any moment the police would pull us over. We just knew we were fugitives. After we had gotten far enough away and realized that no one was coming for us, Brittany blurted out, "All we wanted to do was get some food, Larry. That's it. Just trying to get something to eat." Larry responded, "Nope, this ain't my fault. Blame it on that bipolar ass waitress. She got me effed up. Ho must be having mistaken identity crisis." I said, "That's what we get for going to these hole-in-the-wall ass restaurants." And laughter filled the car. We laughed and we laughed about it all night. We did eventually get food, but we had to drive all the way across the city to the only other 24-hour spot that was open. That night when we got back home, all I kept hearing in my head was Mel Waiter's voice singing, "Let's go, baby, to the hole in the wall." I've had my best time, y'all, at the hole in the wall.
I've had my best time, y'all. Yes, I did. In the hole